cars heading into turns 1 and 2. It's still down in the front row with Joe Williamson Jr. taking a momentary advantage. We see the number 7 Charlie Pierce starting to glide back a little bit as they head into turns 3 and 4. Sweeping up the banking just a little bit there. The number 53 of Joe Williamson Jr. now with sole possession of the lead.
Into turns 1 and 2, Charlie Pierce will drop back to second. He can't find his way down to the inside portion of the speedway, which I think he wants to prefer at this time. He does so now going into turns 3 and 4. Rick Harris will go at third, Mike Grisilius at fourth, and Les Vogt now rounding out the top 5. Side by side, directly behind them for 6th and 7th, it's Marshall Jaggers and the 99 of George Koch, followed by Scott Walters, Chuck Winders, Rick Irwin, the 38 of Scott Toohey, and Sam Price. And looks like Scott Hindman's going to exit the race after 3 laps of competition. Our third place running car, Rick Harris, spins going into turns 1 and 2. Not really in the racing groove, but he's in... Okay, and he turns the car around, so we'll remain green flag racing, but it was a scary moment there for the former mini stock driver, Rick Harris, Dean.
4 laps are now down and complete in this event, heading down the back straightaway at your leader currently, Joe Williamson Jr., the Tumbleweed Brothers Automotive Racing Camaro. But high on his heels, the number 7, Charlie Pierce. Charlie now pulling up to the outside, and then they turn into turns 1 and 2.
Charlie looking...
The advantage, and Charlie now moving ahead, Frank.
He sure is, Dean. Charlie's looking for his second feature of the 1992 racing season. Joe Williamson Jr. not handling particularly well on the inside, but they remain side by side, heading off into turns 1 and 2 after 6 laps of competition. Charlie Pierce again has that great momentum on the backstretch, and he pulls about a half a car length ahead of Williamson. As they move side by side out of turn 4, that time Charlie got loose. Joe Williamson stayed glued to the inside, and they're still side by side for the lead going into turns 1 and 2. It's Charlie Pierce, and I tell you, Dean, it looks like Pierce may have a little bit more race car under him here this evening as he again edges out front, this time nearly clearly around Joe Williamson. So it looks like Charlie Pierce is in a fine spot right now to go for his second feature of the 1992 racing season.
All right, Greg, we're coming up on lap number 9 right now for your leader, the number 7 of Charlie Pierce. Back in second here is the number 53 of Joe Williamson. Only down third with the number 28 of Mike Grisilius. In fourth position currently the number 22 of Les Vogt, with George Koch rounding out the top 5. Marshall Jaggers back in 6th position with Scotty Walters in 7th, Rick Irwin in 8th, Scott Toohey at number 9, and that number 82 car is in 10th position.
I tell you, I don't know what happened to Chuck Winders. He was up inside the top 8 there for the early portions of the race. Can't imagine what may have happened to him other than maybe getting stuck on the outside groove and going backwards. But he's clear behind the fastest qualifier, Sam Price, who is right now just inside the top 10 as they race back into turns 1 and 2. 11 laps completed. And again, Dean, remember, this is a 40-lap contest. They still have a long way to go.
Well, Frank, I talked to one of the drivers tonight after the heat races, and he said in his opinion, as far as he was concerned, there was no outside groove tonight. So we'll have to see how things play out for us. With 12 laps down in the books right now, your leader, Charlie Pierce, moving out to about a 5-car length lead over Joe Williamson Jr., his closest competitor.
The Jim Hannon Olds Montgomery Chevrolet and Albin Used Car Pride Tile Company Racing Chevy Camaro continues to show the way into turns 1 and 2. He went winless in the feature event column throughout the 1991 racing season, but finds himself out on top early in 1992 as again he is looking for his second feature of the win of the year. Joe Williamson Jr. still runs at second, about 3 car lengths back, and then it's Mike Grisilius going third, followed by George Koch. Good run for George Koch at 4th, and Marshall Jaggers having an excellent race here tonight at 5th place. As they move out of turn 4, they'll collect lap number 15. But just behind Marshall Jaggers going into turns 1 and 2 is a bunch of racing action, Dean.
Right, you are. A lot of double-stacked action back there. Let's both the number 22 car got hung out to dry on that outside group. He has dropped back quite a bit and has allowed some of the other competitors to move up. 6th position currently being held by Scott Walters, with Rick Irwin, Scott Toohey, and Les Vogt rounding out the rest of that field there of cars as they head into turns 1 and 2 and down the back straightaway. We're coming up on lap number 17 right now for your leader, the number 7 of Charlie Pierce.
So far as the point standings go, coming into this night's racing action, only about 3 points. 3 points separated the top 3 cars in the point standings, that being Chuck Barnes, of course Scott Toohey, and Rick Irwin. They all qualified rather successfully here this evening. Their heat races weren't too bad. And right now, I would say whoever comes out on top in this feature event, whether they win the race or not, will determine how the point standings will shake out after this evening is over. Kelly Goodland in the number 08 spins down to the infield up in turn number 4. Again, he is out of everyone's way, so will remain green flag racing. Right now, it's clear sailing for Charlie Pierce as he has just put Steve Miles, a Kentucky lottery winner a year ago, one lap down to the field. Joe Williamson Jr. races along the inside. He too has Miles a lap down. And Mike Crecilius, our third place running car, gets around Miles as well. Again, it's George Koch in the Collins Chevy Geo, Hooters Restaurant Racing Chevrolet in the number 4 spot, and then Marshall Jaggers brings that right-way grinding saw and tool Racing Chevy Camaro up to the 5th place position. And right now, about the only person he's being challenged by is Scott Walters, although Walters is about 10 car lengths back and has a lapped car, that of Rick Harris, between Jaggers and Walters as they come out of turn 4. Rick Irwin had thoughts of going to the inside of Scott Walters that time. Found himself up on the speed bumps. He drops back in line as he moves down the back straightaway. Really, Dean, this is where the racing's going on. Between Scott Walters in the number 6 spot, Rick Irwin at 7th, 8th to Scott Toohey, 9th to Chuck Winders, and the number 02 of Sam Price now as they move into turns 1 and 2. Irwin trying to get to the inside of Walters, but it don't work out.
Let's look, getting a little left tap right there for tonight's fast qualifier, the number 02 of Sammy Price. We are over the halfway point as we are now 24 laps down this 40-lap event for our Winston Martin Landscaping Sportsman Division cars. Charlie Pierce continues to open his lead up now by about 12 car lengths currently over Joe Williamson Jr. We go back to 3rd place to find Mike Crecilius holding down that spot with George Koch and Marshall Jaggers rounding out the top 5. Then, as Frank Scott said, it's a battle for 6th place between the number 12 of Scott Walters and the number 90 of Rick Irwin.
Into turns 3 and 4, and Walters handles very nicely into the 3rd and 4th turn. Irwin has to get up on the speed bumps again, really picking away at the inside of Walters. They touch there momentarily. Here comes Chuck Winders, Mr. Outside. If anybody can run the outside tonight, it's Winders. He looks to the outside of Scott Toohey, and this is the battle for around 8th and 9th. He finds some momentum here on the front straightaway. He's around the outside of Toohey, now looking to the outside of Irwin. Irwin absolutely boxed in. He'll let Winders go in the middle of the back straightaway, and now they set their sights on Scott Walters. Dean, I believe there'll be a real battle here in just about a lap.
Undoubtedly, the McDonald Jasper Engines Rob Touch and Class sponsored Racing Camaro on the move at the moment. The number 8 of Chuck Winters, as he's made up about 3 positions here in very short time. Right now, eyeing that number 6 spot, currently being held by the number 12 of Scott Walters. That's where the battle is, as your 4 competitors are right there close together. You can throw a blanket over them. Marshall Jaggers moving up right now on the tail end of George Koch in car number 99. He may challenge here in a lap or 2. We're coming up on lap number 30 right now. 10 laps to go for our Winston Martin Landscaping Sportsman Division car.
Irwin simply can't get any momentum going, being on the inside lane, and it looks like the outside's the place to go. Although Terry Sissel, as they were lapping Terry Sissel, caused a major traffic jam there, and Winders, who had gained a spot on Irwin, has now lost a spot to Irwin. They'll battle side by side here on the front straightaway. This again is the battle for 7th and 8th now, as we come up on lap number 32 on the front straightaway. Charlie Pierce, then it's Joe Williamson, followed by Mike Crecilius, and Marshall Jaggers has really reeled in George Koch for 4th place as they race off into turns 1 and 2. And now Winders has gotten around Irwin, and he gets around Walters on the back straightaway. So now Chuck Winders is currently in the number 6 position as they move bumper to bumper out of turn 4 and down the front straightaway. So I'm glad everything got settled with the least amount of damage as possible for the running at 6th, 7th, and 8th place, Dean.
All right, so Winders is around the number 12 of Scott Walters, but he's got about 1/4 of the straightaway to make out before he can eye the next competitor, which is currently that 5th running number 91 of Marshall Jaggers. He is continuing to pull away from that field. The number 12 of Scott Walters, Rick Irwin, and Scott Toohey right there, all still battling for position.
Let's watch that battle now on the front straightaway. George Koch in car number 99 and the number 91 of Marshall Jaggers. Jaggers has reeled in George Koch, and again, this is the battle for 4th place as they move down into turns 3 and 4. Jaggers really putting the pressure on, and I tell you, Dean Taylor, this is the best I've seen the right-way grinding saw and tool Camaro run in the 1992 racing season after that fabulous rookie summer last year when he came away with the Rookie of the Year honors. Down into turns 3 and 4, and again, he looks to the inside of George Koch, and keeps the pressure on as they come down the front straightaway. 37 complete. We're 3 away from a finish, and it looks like the number 7 of Charlie Pierce is going to be a one feature event closer to that right-way grinding saw and tool first to win 4 bonus.
Frank Scotty continues to lead by about 10 car lengths at the moment. Right now, Marshall Jagger's moving to the inside of George Koch in between turns 1 and 2. Their door handle to door handle headed down the back straightaway. Still all tied up heading into turns 3 and 4. But we've got a lap car in front of them. White flag is now out on the field, so only 1 lap to go if Marshall's going to do it.
Okay, and remember, Dean Taylor, you have to finish these things as well. Into turns 3 and 4, the number 7 of Charlie Pierce is your race leader. He'll get his second feature event victory of the 1992 racing season. Joe Williamson Jr. for second, Mike Crasilius for third, Marshall Jaggers hits the line at fourth, George Koch about a car length behind at 5th place.
Oh, what a race indeed, Frank Scott. So it was action-packed there for the back of the pack cars coming around on the lap number 40 there. Marshall Jaggers number 49, Steve Miles, as he whipped around the side of George Koch. They had battled quite a bit throughout all of the race.